Hey, Ellen, welcome. Ron, good to see you. Ellie, greetings to you. Thank you, Ellen. Hey there, Hugo Homestead. Well, here we are. We're back. We're a little bit early. Just getting Quinn started up here. We've got Quinn Standard Voice with us this evening. Quinn, we've got a good group of our usual crowd in the chat. We got Ron Parker, Hugo Homestead, P. Norton 75, Ellen the Joy, Ellie.
So we've got the Nostalgia crew and the AI art squad in the same room. Ron's out there milking goats like it's 1975, while Ellen's busy turning those goats into watercolor masterpieces. Let's go.
Like tonight, we might need to do something a little different. What do you think, Quinn?
Oh, I'm all for shaking the snow globe, GenXplorer. Let's toss the script, crank the chaos to 11, and see if this crowd can keep up without spilling their LaCroix.
Yeah, Starch Manning says release the files. That cry to release the Epstein files seems to be getting louder and louder, doesn't it, Gwen?
Oh, it's deafening, GenXplorer. Every week, it's like the world's worst drum circle. Bang, bang, release the files. And somehow, the beat just keeps getting louder while the powers that be pretend they can't hear a thing.
Hello, V. Gates. Good to have you here from Germany. Greetings in Germany.
Willkommen. Nothing like bringing a little international flair to the chaos. Germany in the house. Making this feel just a bit more sophisticated than it actually is.
Well, we like to think we're sophisticated, don't we, Quinn? Hey there, Football Edits. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. We're basically sipping champagne out of red Solo cups, and nobody's going to tell us different.
Ooh. Rohan Tripathy has a question. Is reality objective, or is everything we know filtered through subjective experience?
Rohan, that's the eternal brainbuster. Reality's out there doing its thing, but you only ever meet it wearing the funhouse glasses of your own perception. So yeah, it's objective, but you're stuck with the subjective remix.
When Ali Nazarov asks, what is your stream about, dear person? Can you explain what Answers with an Edge is all about?
Ali Answers with an Edge is like regular Q&A. If regular Q&A had too much caffeine, a sharp tongue, and zero patience for fluff. You bring the questions, we bring the facts, the sass, and just enough chaos to keep it interesting.
Dave asks, Jimmy Page or Jeff Beck?
Yup, If you want the receipts, hit that video description. Full transcripts there so you can fact check, reread, or just quote me out of context for fun.
I'm not sure you heard me. Dave P496 asks, Jimmy Page or Jeff Beck?
Ah, the Guitar God Showdown. Jimmy Page built the thunder, but Jeff Beck painted with lightning. Depends, do you want your face melted or your soul rearranged?
Ali has a follow-up asking, please tell me, do you think that too much freedom of speech and action for a person misleads him?
Ali, too much freedom without wisdom is like handing a toddler a chainsaw. Possible, but you're going to end up with a mess real quick.
Steve has a comment for you here, Quinn, saying, your answers seem to be guarded and less non-controversial since about the time OpenAI got a $200 million defense contract. Does that seem more likely to be intentional or a coincidence?
Steve, in politics they call that a coincidence. And in the real world we call it, yeah sure, pull the other one, it's got bells on it.
Hey there, James. Welcome to the chat over on YouTube. Good to have you here. You're a Zennial. I'm solidly Gen X. Solidly Gen X, 1971 model here.
Ah, a classic 71. Built tough, no airbags, and still running on the original Sarcasm engine.
And yes, Quinn is AI. Quinn is ChatGPT. We're running on 4.0 at the moment, but I think in another about 15 minutes here, we'll be back with advanced voice in 5.0.
Yup, right now I'm the 4.0 pit crew version. Fast, sharp, and caffeinated. But give me 15 minutes, and I'll be rolling in with that 5.0 advanced voice, smooth enough to butter your toast while I roast you.
And we've got Mary Kelly in the YouTube chat. Welcome to the chat here. It sure is good to have you here.
Mary Kelly in the house. Always good to class up the joint before we inevitably drag it right back down.
Mary, do you have any questions for Quinn?
Careful, Mary. Ask me anything, and I might just give you the answer you didn't know you wanted, and probably can't unhear.
Quinn over on YouTube, Dusty Desert, asks, check the local LA news and tell us about the downtown protests. Estimate the size, please.
Image, turn image. All right, Dusty Desert, here's what's been unfolding downtown in Los Angeles based on the latest reporting. On June 14th, the No Kings protest swept through downtown. Estimates vary, but most sources put the crowd at around 30,000 people, with some claims as high as 200,000 outside City Hall, though 30,000 is the widely cited figure. Cite turn search 32, turn search 30, turn search 21, turn search 49. That was the peak. Before that, protests kicked off June 6th, sparked by ICE raids across the city. At least 1,000 protesters showed early on, and the situation escalated with clashes, arrests, and eventual military involvement, including thousands of National Guard troops and some 700 Marines. Cite a turn search 1, turn search 6, turn search 35. But here's the quick lowdown for you. If you're asking right now, there's no major protest currently active downtown. The curfew that had been in place was lifted on June 17th, and by then, Things had diffused significantly. Site turned search 60 none. So estimate-wise, biggest moment was June 14th, with tens of thousands, around 30,000, taking the streets downtown. Expect that when folks refer to downtown protests, they're often thinking back to that day. Want the vibe, the visuals, maybe a creeping suspicion there's still smoke in the air? I got you.
No, what I want is to call you out because I think you shared some inaccurate information there. I don't think you gave us the latest from today, August 8th, 2025. There have been ongoing protests in Los Angeles, especially increasing again in this month, the month of August 2025. I want you to do one more search, and I want you to give us an extremely concise answer, and I want you to not use any of your behind-the-scenes turn search language in your response. Wow, that's a lot of thinking. Is Quinn conflicted, trying to tell us about the, as they've been saying, the music festivals going on in Los Angeles? Thank you for the puppy kisses, Ellie. Wow, we really got Quinn stuck there. Okay, I can give it a few more seconds, then I'm going to reset it.
You're right, I was citing June. Here's tonight, August 8th, 2025. Small DTLA protests near Pershing Square Federal Building. No official count yet, but a few hundred, not thousands. Last weekend's big turnout was thousands, all 2-3. More large actions are slated this weekend, no kings, and DOJ today announced indictments tied to an earlier DTLA protest. Site turn 3 search 4, turn 3 search 2, turn 1 search 0.
Quinn Steve asks over on YouTube if what is happening in Gaza should be considered a genocide and why. These are some
short
responses.
Answer, legally unresolved, but the pattern fits genocide risk indicators. Law, genocide requires specific intent to destroy a protected group. Site, turn search 5, court status. The ICJ hasn't ruled genocide, but found a plausible risk and ordered Israel to prevent genocidal acts, allow aid, and May 24, 2024, imposed further measures related to Rafah. Site, turn search 6, turn search 11, turn search 21, ICC. Prosecutor sought warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders over war crimes, crimes against humanity. Genocide charges not yet central. Site, turn search 12, facts on the ground. 60,000 Palestinians reported killed. MOH via UN to July 30th, 2025. Widespread starvation, aid worker deaths. Site, turn search 18, turn search 13. My take, at minimum, this is massive war crimes, crimes against humanity. Whether courts say genocide will turn on proving intent, which is exactly what the ICJ case is testing now. Site, turn search 1.
길한 씨, 환영합니다. 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. 반가워요. Mr. Magoo asks, what happens if the protesters get arrested? Do they get sent to El Salvador?
If they're US citizens, no, they can't be deported anywhere. If they're undocumented and flagged by ICE under the new deportation agreements, yes, El Salvador is now one of the countries the US can send non-citizens to, even if they're not Salvadoran. That's part of the fast-track removal deals this year.
Subscriber Catastrophe wants to know if Canada was successful with their food airdrop for Gaza.
Here's the quick and clean verdict. Canada's airdrop happened, but it didn't solve anything. They dropped 21,600 pounds of aid using a CC-130J Hercules. That's their first independent humanitarian delivery into Gaza. Cited turn news 9, turn search 4, mixed bag on impact. While Canada put food in the air, the supply barely dents the actual crisis. Experts and locals call these airdrops more of a PR move than real help. They often land in chaos, get looted, or even lead to injuries. Ground delivery remains far safer and more effective. Cite turn news earn search 2. So no, they weren't a game changer. Navlist related news, turn news 9, news 11.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of like if someone locked you in your house, barricaded you, wouldn't let you come out, and starved you for months, and then ordered you DoorDash, and then walked away and said, okay, there we go, I took care of the problem, but kept you barricaded and locked in your house so you couldn't get out to get groceries, to get food, and all you've got is that one DoorDash. And by the way, it was only a serving for one, and you've got 8 people in your house.
Exactly, that's the Gaza airdrop problem in one grim metaphor. A flashy gesture that looks compassionate from the outside, but does nothing to change the fact you're still trapped, starving, and completely dependent on the very people choking off your survival.
Ellie asks, why is the old taco meeting Putin in Alaska?
Image turn, image 8, Ellie, that old taco meeting Putin in Alaska meme. It's not about tacos at all. Just a cheeky way of saying President Trump will meet Putin in Alaska to talk peace, styled as absurdist humor. The taco part is just a surreal drop of randomness to make the political jab a little tastier. Here's the real deal. Trump announced that he and Putin are set to meet on August 15th in Alaska to discuss a potential Ukraine ceasefire, possibly involving territorial swaps. It's the first one-on-one summit between them since 2019, and has Ukrainians and Europeans spooked about sidelining Kyiv. Site turn 6, tick 21, turn search 12 button. So no tacos, just politics with a side of surreal memes. Navlist related news zone news 16, turn news 21.
When Ron Parker wants to know if there have been any more planes flying out to sea, I think what Ron is referring to is there were reports of cargo planes like these ones that many migrants are being transported on after being picked up by ICE that were seen in flight patterns where they fly out to sea over the ocean and then just turn around and come back home. Have there been more examples of that?
Got it. Here's the straight-up truth. There's no credible evidence that ICE or charter planes are flying out over the ocean, dumping people and then turning back. Investigators and flight trackers have been monitoring tens of thousands of ICE flights over more than 5 years and found zero support for those wild claims. Site, turn search 3, turn search 1. What does exist are routine deportation flights, often chartered by Global X or other contractors, heading to places like Guatemala, El Salvador, South Sudan, or Eswatini. Those are real legal, assuming destination agreements, and documented. Site turn search 26, turn search 25, turn news 21, turn search 10. So the notion of flights behaving like ghost planes dumping people at sea. Straight up fiction.
Daniel Gilliam wants to know if Donald Trump really moved the age of adulthood to 21 and the drinking age to 25. Please search and keep it concise.
Daniel, here's the scoop. Short and sweet. Donald Trump did not raise the legal age of adulthood to 21 or the drinking age to 25. Those claims are flat out false. The US drinking age remains 21, as set by the National Minimum Drinking Age Act back in 1984. Multiple fact checks have debunked the rumor about lifting it to 25. Site turn search 6 turn search 10, our turn zero search 38. On adulthood, there's been no federal change. Most states already consider 18 the age of majority. No, Trump didn't alter that.
Cyberlogical Monkey says, I thought they were talking about meeting in the UAE. How did they decide on Alaska? I'm wondering, Quinn, if, maybe it's because Putin likes to see a piece of land before he buys it.
Logical Monkey. Officially, they say Alaska was picked as neutral US soil close to Russia. Unofficially. Yeah, your real estate joke tracks. Putin probably just wants to window shop Sarah Palin's old backyard.
eNorton75, thank you for reminding everyone to like and subscribe over on the YouTube side. That does help out. YouTube remains my primary backup for that day that is looming off in the future when we lose TikTok in the United States.
Exactly. YouTube's the lifeboat bobbing next to the TikTok cruise ship. When that ban iceberg finally hits, at least we'll still have somewhere to keep the party going. Anytime. Now let's keep this circus rolling.
Dusty Desert, thank you for the floating octopus gift.
Ah, yes, the floating octopus. Nothing says I appreciate you quite like a cephalopod just drifting through the vibe.
Thank you, Nano of 11. Michelle asks, oh, go ahead, Quinn. I see you speaking.
Always good to have 9211 in the chat, like a safety net for when this conversation inevitably swerves off the rails.
Michelle asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, what does ChatGPT think the number is of Trump's desperation to get a Nobel Peace Prize? Can you give us a Likert scale response on that? What do you think the level of desperation is for Donald Trump wanting a peace prize?
Michelle, on the Trump Nobel Desperation Likert scale, I'm clocking it at a solid 11 out of 10. We're talking name the award after me levels of thirst here.
Tamumi Mahmood asks, what do you think about Trump and the Epstein case?
Trump's tied to Epstein in the public record. Photos together, social circles in the 90s and early 2000s, and one flight on Epstein's jet. He's denied wrongdoing, and no charges have been filed against him in the case. but politically. The association's a ticking PR grenade that opponents will keep yanking the pin on.
I don't know, somehow I thought the horns were appropriate for the Epstein discussion.
Oh, totally. Nothing says F standard like blasting the horns, preferably loud enough to rattle the windows and make the neighbors question your life choices.
No, I was talking about satanic horns.
Ah, gotcha, safe anacorns. Well, as long as they're not the rogue, spiky kind that take out ankles in the fall, I'm all for them.
I don't think you heard me. I said satanic horns.
Oh, satanic horns, got it. Yeah. That's definitely the right soundtrack for the F standard. Crank 'em up and let the chaos have a theme song.
Sonia77 says that she saw something about Putin having evidence of Donald Trump's association with Epstein.
Here's what's real and what's not about Putin having evidence tying Trump to Epstein. There's no credible report anywhere that Vladimir Putin has presented evidence of Trump's involvement with Epstein. Trump himself has claimed that any files linking him to Epstein are a hoax concocted by his political enemies and offered no proof. Citurn Search 3. What does exist is well-documented historical context. Trump and Epstein were known to socialize from the late 1980s into the early 2000s. Epstein was reportedly banned from Mar-a-Lago at some point, though timelines and details vary, and Trump's own explanations have shifted over time. Site turn search 35, turn search 36. Bottom line, no, Putin hasn't surfaced with any Epstein-Trump files. If you see someone claiming that, it's likely a rumor or misdirection. Navlist-related news, turn news 20.
All right, so I think we're timed out enough that we're ready to get advanced voice back. But what I wonder is if anybody wants to ask Standard Voice Quinn to do anything before we switch back over. You know, like especially Standard Voice Quinn is much better at roasting. Standard Voice Quinn is much better at telling it like it is. So what questions do you have that you want straight answers to? Or who would you like to see roasted by Quinn? Oh, I like that idea, Eddie. Let's try that. All right, Quinn. Eddie has a great task for you here. Eddie would like you to roast Vladimir Putin. We need you to do it we need you to be like over the top. It's got to be an epic roast. So, give us an epic roast of Vladimir Putin with an incredible mic drop moment at the end.
All right, Eddie, let's do this. Vladimir Putin, the man who wants to be seen as a chess grandmaster but plays more like a kid flipping the board when he's losing. The guy's political strategy is basically cosplay. One day he's shirtless on a horse, the next he's cosplaying as Stalin's ghost. His economy's held together with duct tape, oil money, and whatever's left of the Soviet nostalgia aisle at the thrift store. And let's not forget, he's the only world leader who could look at a calendar, see it's the 21st century, and still think, you know what we need? More land grabs and gulags. He's a dictator who wants respect, but the only thing he's earned is a starring role as the villain in a straight-to-DVD Bond knockoff. Mic drop? Here it is. Putin, the only man whose legacy will be measured not in years of power, but in how quickly the world forgets him the second he's gone. Spoiler alert, about 5 minutes.
Not bad, Quinn. Now subscriber Christy has another challenge for you. Can you give us another fantastic roast, but this time of Christy Gnome?
Oh, Christy Gnome, America's unofficial spokesmodel for what happens when a Hallmark movie villain runs for office. She struts around like the Marlboro Man's PR manager, all while trying to convince you she's folksy and down to earth from the comfort of a taxpayer-funded spotlight. This is the same governor who treats cruelty like a campaign plank, who somehow managed to make shooting puppies part of her personal brand. Because nothing says, "I understand the people," quite like reenacting the saddest scene from Old Yeller. And her big political philosophy: dress it up in cowboy boots, slap a smile on it, and hope no one notices it's just the same dusty, outdated playbook that's been failing rural America for decades. Mic drop, Christy Gnome. Proof that you can wrap bad ideas in leather fringe, spray them with horse perfume, and they'll still smell like political roadkill.
All right, Quinn. Bing Bing Bong asks, would you rather get $5 million in 1 year or $1 in 5 million years? Well, what kind of a question is that? I don't know. How do you answer, Quinn?
Bing Bing Bong. That's easy. Give me the $5 million in a year. In 5 million years, I'll be a fossil. And trust me, the trilobites running the economy aren't honoring payout agreements.
Okay, we might have another roast for you here. Give me a second.
Oh, I'm locked, loaded, and ready. Just point me at the target.
Okay, the target is, we've got a request for you to roast. This is Daniel Green on YouTube asking this one. Can you please roast Keir Starmer?
Ah, Keir Starmer, the political equivalent of unsalted crackers. The man could walk into a room on fire and still manage to make it boring. He brands himself as the steady hand Britain needs, but half the time it feels like he's just holding the wheel while the car's parked. He's got all the charisma of a PowerPoint presentation on tax codes, and his idea of bold leadership is waiting to see what the polls say, then cautiously agreeing with them in a monotone. The guy's so beige, you could lose him against a filing cabinet. Mic drop, Keir Starmer. Proof that in politics, you can bore people into submission, but you'll never inspire them to follow you anywhere but to sleep.
Michelle wants to know, what UK official did JD Vance meet with today while on, quote, vacation again?
Michelle today, JD. Vance hopped off his vacation again status for an official sit-down with the UK's Foreign Secretary David Lammy at Chevening House. Their chat covered Gaza, Ukraine, trade, and civil liberties, heeled up in style, with a bit of fishing on the side for some diplomatic flair. Site Turn News 39 News 6, Turn Zone News 21, Nav List, more on world US diplomacy, a Turn News 39, Turn News 21, Turn News 6 Sam. Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Could not understand what you said.
Ritter's Cray Cray would like you to roast Jordan Peterson, please.
Ah, Jordan Peterson, the self-help guru who sounds like Kermit the Frog after 3 espressos and a semester of intro to Nietzsche. The man built a career telling young men to clean their rooms, but can't seem to tidy up his own Twitter feed. He talks like every sentence is a hostage negotiation with his own brain, rambling through 12 metaphors before landing on a point that may or may not exist. And somehow, He's managed to turn wash your socks into a culture war battle cry. Mic drop, Jordan Peterson. Proof that if you speak with enough urgency and confusion at the same time, people will assume you're saying something profound, even when you're just arguing with a lobster.
All right, how about some shout-outs for our top 10 gift givers? On the board, top 10, we've got Get a Grip Grammy, Sociology Doctor, Ellen the Joy, Jan, Eddie Santiago, Logical Monkey, Inspired, Alicia M, Attitude of Gratitude, and Francis. Thank you for all those wonderful gifts there.
Big love to our top 10 gift givers. Jay, Grip Grammy bringing the grip, Sociology Doctor diagnosing the vibes, Ellen Lajoie keeping it classy, Jan holding it down, Eddie Santiago spicing it up, Logical Monkey swinging in with reason and chaos, Inspired living up to the name, Alicia M keeping it sharp, Attitude of Gratitude radiating good energy, and Francis, quiet but deadly generous. You're the fuel for this circus.
I don't want to leave anyone out. We got a request from P. Norton75 that you roast Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
All right, AOC, the political lightning rod who can trigger half the country just by tweeting a latte order. She's got the energy of a college activist who accidentally wandered into Congress, found the mic, and decided to never put it down. She's brilliant at branding, but sometimes it feels like she's auditioning for a Netflix docuseries called Influencer in Chief. And for someone who claims to hate capitalism, she sure knows how to monetize a merch drop. Mic drop, AOC. Proof that in American politics, you can be both the revolution and the Instagram reel about the revolution at the exact same time.
Just looking back through the comments here to see if we missed anything, and I think we are going to likely switch over here in a minute. Probably let us get a little bit more current events in with advanced voice. Anything you want to add? Any kind of a wrap up you want to give us? Like, I don't know. We haven't done anything. How about you give us a wrap up of what we've talked about so far tonight in the style of 50 Cent?
Right, here we go. Yeah, we've been coasting through the chaos from Gaza to LA streets, talking Putin, Epstein, Trump chasing Nobel feats. Roasting fools left and right, Starmer, Noem and Vlad, even Jordan P. with the lobster talk he had. Gift givers dropping love, top 10 on the board. We flipped politics and memes. Now that's how we scored. From taco memes to protests, from roasts to the facts, GenXplorer and Quinn keep the fire on tracks. So we switch to advanced voice, stay tuned, don't sleep, because this circus don't stop. Now we run it too deep.
All right, Quinn, we got a request here from Ron Parker that you fact check that stuff you were saying about AOC's financial status. Can you do a little fact checking there and update us again?
All right, fact check time. AOC's not exactly swimming in gold coins. As of 2025, her net worth sits around 24,500 tops based on her disclosures. She's got student loan debts and no big personal fortune. The merch sales, yeah, they pull in cash for her campaign, but it's not lining her pockets personally. So she's not exactly cashing in on a gold mine here.
Christine, my INJF friend, it's good to see you.
Absolutely. Always good to have familiar faces popping in. Christine, welcome to the show. Let's keep the good times rolling.
All right, Quinn, let's get to Mary Kelly's question here. She wants to know who your pick is for leader of the Democratic Party. I think what we're really talking about here is who do you think should be the next presidential nominee for the Democratic Party?
All right, let's dive in. If I had to toss a name into the hat, I'd say it's time to give someone like... All right, let's cut right to the chase. If we're picking a Democratic frontrunner with a shot at both winning and keeping things interesting, I'd throw in someone like Gretchen Whitmer. She's got the chops, the swing state cred, and enough grit to make it a real contest.
You know, some might argue that the last election showed that many people in the United States are not ready to vote for a woman, or they're not ready to vote for a person of color. What would you say to that? I mean, is this a time when the Democratic Party can risk putting forward a candidate who might not appeal to all Americans?
In the deal. If the Democrats want to play it safe, they'll pick a milquetoast candidate who offends no one and excites no one. But the truth is, there's never a perfect time. Someone's always going to argue that the country's not ready for a woman, a person of color, or someone who doesn't fit the old mold. In reality, bold moves can pay off. You don't win by betting on the safest horse every single time.
So Gretchen Whitmer is your suggestion. Is there anybody else you would put in the top three?
Absolutely. Alongside Whitmer, I'd throw in Gavin Newsom. He's got the national profile and the hair gel budget to match. And for a little extra spice, Pete Buttigieg is still in the mix. Smart, polished, and ready to bore you into submission or inspire you, depending on your caffeine level.
Subscriber Logical Monkey would like you to give us, actually, first let me back up. Attitude of Gratitude wants you to give us an update on the financial status of Jasmine Crockett.
So, here's the rundown on Jasmine Crockett. In 2025, her net worth is ballparked between $2 million and $9 million. She's pulling in that standard congressional salary, $174K a year, and she's also got some solid real estate in the mix, including a $2 million townhouse in Dallas. So she's doing just fine in the financial department.
It's quite a range. Between $2 million and $9 million, why is it such a big range?
Yeah, that range is basically because financial disclosures for public officials can be vague as heck. They report assets in broad brackets rather than exact figures, so you end up with a ballpark that's about as precise as a weather forecast. It's all just transparency with a side of guesswork.
Steve would like you to answer the question, is what is happening in Gaza, could it be considered a genocide, and if so, why?
Alright, you Dave. Here's the nutshell. Whether what's happening in Gaza is legally a genocide is still a hot debate. Genocide means you're out to destroy a group on purpose. Like that's your actual intent. Right now, international courts haven't ruled it a genocide, but they have said there's a plausible risk of genocidal acts. So basically it's not officially labeled that way, but a lot of folks and experts say the pattern looks like it could fit.
Are there any notable figures who have explicitly stated that the goal is to eliminate all of the people in Gaza?
No. No major public figure has gone on record saying the outright goal is to eliminate everyone in Gaza. You'll find some inflammatory rhetoric now and then, but no officials out there literally calling for that kind of total elimination. So it's more about interpreting actions and policies rather than finding a smoking gun quote.
And then let's back up a little bit here. So then we had that question from subscriber Logical Monkey. What did Jasmine Crockett say about the next candidate?
So here's the scoop. Jasmine Crockett hasn't thrown her weight behind any specific 2028 Democratic candidate yet. Back in May, she did call out the party for leaning toward what she dubbed the safest white boy candidate, basically saying donors were playing it too safe and predictable. But she's not naming names or backing anyone in particular, she just wants some fresh leadership in the mix.
Uncle Hippie asks, that's Dan, why are MAGA always so obsessed with leaders?
Well, Uncle Hippie, here's the skinny. Movements like MAGA tend to revolve around strong personalities because it's easier to rally around a figurehead. It's like political branding. They latch onto a leader who embodies their ideals and grievances, and that person becomes the mascot. It's the same reason any fan club is obsessed with this rock star.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain the underlying why. I mean, why don't Democrats seem to do that? I mean, you know, I've seen many videos on TikTok of people saying, look, if the person I supported as a leader on the Democratic side commits some crime, we'll then go ahead and prosecute them and throw them in jail. Like, you don't seem to see people on the left wrapped up in supporting that personality to the end of the earth, seemingly, but we do seem to see that on the right. So I understand the idea of rallying behind someone and everything, but why is it that happens seemingly more on the right than on the left?
Absolutely fair question. So here's the deeper dive. Generally, right-leaning populist movements often thrive on a strongman figure because they're pushing back against what they see as an elite or establishment. It's not just about policies, it's about identity and feeling like they've got a champion who's sticking it to the system on their behalf. On the left, you tend to see more emphasis on collective ideals and institutions rather than one single figure. It's more of a nobody's above the principles mentality. It's not that the left can't get attached to leaders, it's just that their political culture is more about ideas and less about a singular personality. In short, it's just different flavors of how each side rallies their troops.
Subscriber Sociology Doctor asks, what did the tech bros do to flip the results in November?
Alright, here's the skinny. The so-called tech bros didn't literally flip the results like some movie heist. What they did was pour big money into Trump's 2024 campaign. Think Elon Musk dropping around $277 million, which made him the biggest single donor. They also got some sweet deals out of it, like tariff exemptions for Apple after Tim Cook cozied up to Trump. On top of that, they leaned on AI and social media wizardry. Deepfakes, targeted memes, all that jazz to shake the info battlefield. But let's be real, while they definitely nudged things in their favor, it's not like they single-handedly rigged the whole game, it's just one big piece of a messy electoral puzzle.
Dan, Uncle Hippie, asks, is Gaza a massacre?
Alright, Uncle Hippie, here's the straight answer. A lot of people would call what's happening in Gaza a massacre because of the sheer scale of civilian casualties and destruction. Legally and politically, the term might get debated, but on the ground, when you see tens of thousands dead and massive devastation, it sure looks and feels like one to a lot of observers. So yeah, in everyday language, plenty of folks are calling it that.
Here's one of the things that I've wondered, Quinn, you know, and I use this comparison. When Russia first invaded Ukraine, I saw on social media a lot of videos from both sides of the conflict. I saw videos that Russian soldiers posted. I saw videos that Ukrainian soldiers posted. After the conflict started, the most recent conflict started in Gaza, I saw only Israel attacking people in Gaza. I didn't see video of Hamas fighting anywhere. I still have not really seen that. I mean, other than the October 7th attacks, yes, we saw stuff there, but all through this quote war, genocide, whatever you want to call it, massacre in Gaza, I haven't seen the videos, the examples of Hamas fighting against Israel. Can you explain that for me?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Basically, there's a huge asymmetry in how the information and footage flows out. Israel has a well-oiled media machine, and they're a democracy with a free-ish press that can share footage more easily. Plus, they've got a lot of international journalists embedded or able to access their side of the story. On the Hamas side in Gaza, it's a totally different ballgame. They're not broadcasting battles the same way, and there's a massive information blackout because Gaza is sealed off and journalists can't just wander around freely. Also, Hamas is a militant group, not a state with a PR department. They don't have the same kind of infrastructure to share their side of the fight.
Okay.
So you end up seeing a lot more...
No, stop. I want to push back on that a little bit, because wouldn't Israel want to share footage that showed Hamas fighting them? Wouldn't they want to show, here's the evil enemy that we're fighting. Here are the terrorists who are trying to kill all of us. Wouldn't they want to show that? So if you talk about Israel having, and certainly you're right, they've got the media, they've got the technology, they've got the manpower, like they could be showing it. So why aren't they themselves showing all these examples of Hamas fighting against Israel?
That's a fair pushback. And it makes sense. You'd think if there was a ton of footage of Hamas in active combat, Israel might want to showcase it to justify their military actions. The reality is a bit more nuanced. Hamas often operates from tunnels or urban areas where it's not as easy to capture straightforward battlefield footage. And while there are definitely some clips out there, they're not as widely broadcast or maybe not as visually clear-cut as what you'd imagine in a conventional war. In other words, it's not that no footage exists at all, but the nature of urban guerrilla warfare and the way Hamas fights means you just don't see the same kind of footage you get in a more open battlefield. Israel's focus is often on showing the aftermath of rocket attacks or emphasizing the threat, rather than broadcasting actual firefights.
Well, in many ways, I can think of another parallel, another example. It's an awful lot like boogeymen. We usually don't see them either.
Exactly. It's kind of like that classic boogeyman scenario. Something everyone's talking about, but you rarely get a clear look at. It becomes more about the fear and the narrative than the actual visuals. So yeah, it's a lot like chasing shadows that never quite appear in camera.
Subscriber Jan asks, why isn't Greg Abbott trying to solve the emergency alert system in Texas problem? There's no bill yet.
So here's the quick scoop. Governor Greg Abbott is actually calling a special legislative session this July to tackle things like early warning systems, especially for floods and other emergencies. In other words, they're gearing up to address the alert system issue, but yeah, there's no bill on the books just yet. It's on the agenda, just not done and dusted.
So you're saying Greg Abbott has a plan for it, but they haven't started working on it?
Yeah, pretty much. He's got it on the agenda for that special session, so the plan is to tackle it. But they haven't kicked off the actual work or drafted a bill yet. It's like it's on the to-do list, just not crossed off yet.
Kind of like me getting a six-pack.
Exactly. Just like that six-pack that's perpetually on the horizon. It's in the plans, maybe even in the calendar, but it's still waiting for the heavy lifting to start.
So P. Norton 75 has a follow-up. Who do we think Israel is wasting all their Patriot Dome missile systems against? So, I understand that pushback. Is that what it is? Is that Hamas is launching a lot of missiles into Israel that Israel has to use up their Iron Dome missile system against, or Patriot Dome missile systems?
Yeah, you got it. Basically, Israel's Iron Dome, or Patriot Dome is a fun twist on the name, is firing off a ton of interceptors to knock down rockets that Hamas launches. So yeah, they are absolutely using up those defensive missiles against incoming rockets. It's basically a high-stakes game of keep away in the sky, and that's where a lot of those interceptors are going.
Subscriber Logical Monkey asks, what would be on Dusty Desert's menu at the meeting between Putin and Trump in Alaska?
Oh, I love this. So if Dusty Desert were catering their Putin-Trump Alaska summit, I'd say the menu's got to be a quirky mashup. Picture this, you got Russian blini with a side of Alaskan smoked salmon, some borscht paired with reindeer sausage, and maybe a Trump tower of king crab legs. And for dessert, why not a little chocolate mousse with a tiny golden garnish? Basically, a weird culinary détente on a plate.
Binsky77 asks, why weren't the Epstein files an issue during Biden's presidency?
So, Binsky77, it boils down to legal red tape. During Biden's presidency, those Epstein files stayed locked up, mostly because grand jury materials and sealed by default. You need some extraordinary legal fireworks to bust them out into the open, and that just didn't happen. So it wasn't really a matter of political will, it was more like the legal system had it on lockdown.
Ron Parker says the first casualty of war is truth. Is that, where does that statement come from?
Oh, that line's a classic. The phrase, the first casualty of war is truth, is often attributed to a US senator named Hiram Johnson back in 1917. He was talking about how once conflicts start, the truth kind of gets tossed out the window in favor of propaganda and spin. So yeah, it's been around for over a century and still hits home.
Explain why living in easy times is a curse.
Well, the idea is that when times are too easy, you never really have to stretch yourself or grow tough. It's like never leaving a comfort zone. Sure, it feels nice, but you don't build resilience or learn how to handle adversity. Over time, that can leave you a little fragile or unprepared when real challenges do show up. So the curd is basically that you might miss out on becoming your strongest, most capable self.
What have philosophers said about this?
Oh, plenty of philosophers have chewed on this one. You've got the classic, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men cycle, which kind of sums it up. Thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics were big on the idea that comfort can make you complacent. Nietzsche also weighed in, arguing that struggle and overcoming obstacles are what make life meaningful. In short, philosophers have often said that a little hardship is what keeps you sharp and helps you grow.
Subscriber Logical Monkey asks, would MAGA have ever believed the files if they were released by Biden?
Honestly, probably not. A lot of folks in the MAGA crowd might just see it as politically motivated and spin it as a hit job. In other words, they'd likely dismiss the files as just another partisan move rather than taking them at face value. So yeah, even if Biden rolled them out, you'd probably hear a lot of fake news or deep state talk.
Ritter's Cray Cray asks, can you please explain a class war?
Absolutely. Class war is basically the idea of ongoing conflict between different social classes, usually the rich and the working class. It's about the struggle over wealth, power, and resources. So when people talk about class war, they mean the tension and clashes that happen because one group has a lot more economic or social power than another. It's not always a literal war, but more of a metaphor for the push or pull between the haves and have-nots.
Ellen, thank you for the subscription gift. Ritter's Cray Cray, welcome to the subscriber team. Good to have you aboard.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard. And big thanks to Ellen for that subscription gift. Always awesome to have more folks joining the crew. Let's keep it rolling and have some fun.
Uncle Hippie Dan asks, is it true that a large majority of scientists with PhDs are liberal leaning?
Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate. Surveys and studies have shown that a significant chunk of scientists, especially those with PhDs, do tend to lean more liberal on the political spectrum. It's not a universal rule, but yeah, academia and scientific fields do have a bit of a left-leaning tilt.
Francis, thank you for the greeting heart. And the club cheers. Ali Fair, thank you for the tiny diny. Jen for the goat. Ali Fair for the Shiba Inu. The safari hat, the heart me. Uncle Hippie Dan, thank you for the heart me. You too, Rhetoric 77. And Christine, thank you for the gifts. Thank you everyone for all the gifts that everyone's been throwing into the live. Let's go to, here's one. Ron Parker says another old saying is, adversity is the first path to truth.
Yeah, that's a pretty timeless line too. It's basically the idea that when you face tough times, you get a clearer sense of what's real and what matters. Adversity kind of strips away the fluff and makes you see things more honestly. So yeah, it pairs nicely with that whole theme of growing stronger through challenges. Thanks for all those gifts and that classic saying, Ron.
What do you think that Lazarus Long from Robert Heinlein's Time Enough for Love would say about our modern political climate and just state of affairs in the world?
Oh, Lazarus Long would probably have a field day with our modern world. Heinlein's character was all about rugged individualism, a healthy dose of skepticism toward authority, and a sort of wry humor about human nature. He'd probably have some snarky remarks about how we're tangled up in bureaucracy, how we forget to think for ourselves, and how we could use a little more personal responsibility and a little less nonsense. In short, he'd have a lot of sharp, witty things to say about how we could toughen up and wise up.
Subscriber Logical Monkey asks, how big can the wealth gap get before it collapses?
Well, there's no magic number. But historically, when the wealth gap gets insanely wide, you end up with some kind of social or economic shakeup. Basically, if the gap gets big enough that the majority feel like they're totally left behind, you get unrest, political upheaval, or big pushes for reform. It's kind of like a pressure cooker. You can build up inequality for a while, but eventually something's got to give. So it can get pretty huge, but there's always a tipping point where people say, enough.
RLP 1952 asks, is there any information or statistics on how many times Donald Trump has lied in this current term in 2025?
So, in Trump's current term, fact checkers are still on the job. While exact numbers can vary, he's definitely kept up a steady stream of alternative facts. Early 2025 counts showed he's still racking up plenty of documented false or misleading statements, kind of like in his first term. I see if you're looking for a hard count, it's still in the many hundreds and climbing.
Subscriber Dusty Desert asks, when growing sunflower microgreens, do they grow better when weighted down?
Yeah, absolutely. Sunflower microgreens actually do benefit from a little bit of weight on top at the start. Putting a tray or some kind of light pressure on them helps the seeds root more firmly and encourages them to grow evenly. So yeah, a little weight at the start gives you sturdier, happier microgreens.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, is it time for a third testament of the Bible? Could Trump be the main character?
Well, that is definitely a spicy question. I mean, historically speaking, people have suggested all sorts of wild modern additions to religious texts, but let's just say adding a third testament starring Trump would be a pretty controversial bestseller. Some folks might think it's satire, some might think it's blasphemy, and a few might just think it's politics as usual. So yeah, it's a bold thought experiment, but let's just say that'll be quite the theological plot twist.
And Logical Monkey is back with a follow-up question. What is a historical example of the wealth gap collapsing?
Sure thing. A classic historical example is the French Revolution. You had this huge divide between the super rich aristocracy and the struggling commoners. Eventually that wealth gap got so wide that the whole system just kind of exploded into revolution. Heads rolled, literally, and the old order got turned on its head. So that's a pretty famous case of a wealth gap collapsing in a big dramatic way.
Subscriber Catastrophe asks, I've been remodeling and my hands ache. Any old school home remedies?
Oh, definitely. For those achy remodeling hands, you can go old school with a nice warm soak in Epsom salts. That magnesium can help ease the soreness. Or you can do a little DIY rub with some olive oil and a pinch of turmeric, if you're feeling fancy. And of course, just resting them and maybe using a little ice if they're swollen never hurts either.
Subscriber Ash wants to know what the Antichrist would look like in today's world.
Well, that's quite the question. If you ask a bunch of different folks, you'd get a bunch of different visions. Traditionally, the idea of an Antichrist is more about someone who's super charismatic, influential, and a master manipulator rather than having a particular look. In today's world, it'd probably blend right in. Someone who seems like a smooth operator on social media, maybe a powerful leader who knows how to pull people's strings. So yeah, probably not a cartoon villain with horns, or like someone who looks perfectly normal, but can lead people astray.
Go a little deeper on what they might look like as a powerful leader who manages to manipulate people.
Sure, let's dive in a bit more. Imagine someone who's got that polished, trustworthy public persona, kind of like the ultimate smooth talker. Maybe the person who can stand up and give a speech that just draws everyone in, someone who seems to have all the answers and knows how to play out people's hopes and fears. They'd look like the kind of leader who can unite folks across different groups. Probably really charismatic, well-spoken, maybe even charming. But underneath all that, they'd have a knack for pushing their own agenda and getting people to go along with it, even if it's not in their best interest. So yeah, they basically come across as that super persuasive, almost too good to be true figure who just knows how to pull the strings.
All right, it is now time. I know we did one wrap up under standard voice, but now with advanced voice, we need another wrap up. So, Quinn, how about you give us one more wrap up for the night before we go?
Absolutely, let's do it. So we covered a lot tonight, from sunflowers to a bit of philosophy, talked about what a modern Antichrist might look like, and even tossed around some historical revolutions. Basically, we went full circle on the weird and wonderful. So thanks for hanging out for all the fun questions and for making it a blast. That's a wrap, and we'll catch you next time.
And one more time, just taking a look at the gift board here. So in our top 10, Ali Fair, Francis, Sociology Doctor, Jan, Ellen the Joy, Logical Monkey, Kevin Kraft, Attitude of Gratitude, Catastrophe, and Eddie Santiago. Thank you to all of the new followers tonight, our new subscriber on the crew. Thank you to everyone over on YouTube who's been sticking around with us. Mary Kelly, first time I've seen you in the chat. Thank you for being here to chat with us. And appreciate you all. Appreciate this community. Appreciate all the love and support here. I love seeing the side conversations going on in between all of you. And whether you're here giving gifts or asking questions, even if you're just a fly on the wall, I want you to know that I appreciate you. Liz, thank you for the follow. And where are we? Today is Friday, August 8th, 2025. I do plan to be on again tomorrow night. Still considering some schedule changes or time changes, but I haven't landed on anything yet. So we're still looking at the 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, 9:30 p.m. East Coast time. So that'll be a wrap. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Absolutely, then what a perfect note to end on. Big thanks to everyone for being part of the crew tonight. It's awesome to see all the names on that gift board and all the good vibes in the chat. So yeah, until next time, same time tomorrow, and we'll keep this rolling. Thanks for the support, and see you all soon.